Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diana, for giving us this opportunity. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning to learn about the career paths in automation. So, just a little introduction. I'm Priya Esteves. I'm a UiPath Most Valuable Professional for 5 years in a row. I've got over a decade of experience in the IT industry. Have been doing RPA for over 7 years now. And I love using UiPath for AI, document understanding, and various products. And it has definitely shaped my career in ways that you could not have imagined. And there's a lot of growth, which is what we would love to share. So, Tracy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Tracy Dixon, another 5-year MVP. So ladies are 2 out of the 3 of those in the United States, I should note. Been doing automation since late 2018, early 2019, and also absolutely love to talk about automation and how to give people their time back to spend it on important things.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. So, like Tracy said, she and I go way back, and like we've been like learning since the very, basics of UiPath, and we have seen the product evolve and like all the different products that have been added as well. So, for today's learning objectives, we'll have a quick look at what the current trend of automation professionals are doing so that you get an idea of like where we stand and how you can grow. And how we can bridge that gap is our next topic to see like if there is a gap, like how would you like to foster that environment to make it more inclusive. And we will also talk about like what are the different roles and career paths available using the UiPath tool, because using this software you could play any different role that you like, or if you'd like to switch, this is your moment to have that awareness on what these roles do. And at the very end, we'll show you like what are our highlights like in our day-to-day activities, like how do we use UiPath and this career in automation means to us. So we will share some of the highlights as well. Oh, and sometimes my keyboard does that, sorry. So the first topic that we're going to see is what is the current trend of automation professionals? So right now, like automation, software automation industry by itself has a very stable growth. And overall, in the last year, they did a state of the automation developer survey. And in that survey, there was 75% of automation professionals who were male. And as we can see, like the female percentage is fairly low. It's at 24%, which we can like definitely hope to improve, because like in the last year's report, like definitely the percentage was way less compared to the this 2023. So we're hoping to see in 2024 there'll be like a major change in terms of like having more professionals coming in, because we have seen that this automation professional industry, especially with AI powered automations, has been like really really enticing for people who are like switching careers or new to the industry itself, because they hear this word AI and they want to jump in. So, which is where the automation career can help you, like, be that segue into building that career using AI. And one other thing that we have noticed is in terms of the generational thing, 2/3 of the automation professionals are currently millennials. So, as you can see, the different generational bias that it has been there, there's going to be like more and more people jumping in, but currently there's 62% of people are like definitely millennials. So we want to see like how we can improve these percentages, like especially when it comes to gender. Not that like it's a bad thing, but it's more of an awareness that we lack. So most of the women, like, they are happy in their careers where they are, which is why like they are probably not aware of the automation career and what it could do to them, and like in terms of growth as well. So probably if we have like more women, like especially like children who are in college or like in schools, they could have like STEM classes and take all these courses, and which is like easily available, and it's a lot easier to build your career in automation. So Tracy's going to share some of the ways to how to have like an inclusive environment.
Thanks, Priya. So if you have not already read the document that is referenced there at the bottom on solving the equation, definitely go out there and read that. It's not specifically just automation focused. It's more on women and STEM careers, but it's a really excellent read, and has lots of ideas that go into far more detail. But here are a few of the highlights from that document on ways we can make our work environments more inclusive. So first, change implicit biases. Hard thing to do for sure, but the most striking thing out of the suggestions within that is just to be a role model. Make sure that other people know that you're doing automation, talk about it, be visible, put yourself out there, and let the world know that this is what somebody who does automation looks like. So really appreciate you guys participating today and then passing the word on that, because the more often that we put ourselves out there as the face of automation, the more that changes, the implicit biases of others change. So to the extent you can, try to influence organizational practice change. Make sure for yourself and others that if you do have some influence in these areas, that you try to remove gender bias from the interview process. I've seen that myself personally. Always have good reasons for excluding candidates in detail. Never generic things like not a cultural fit. So as much as you can, make that process as far as seeing gender throughout that recruiting process invisible when possible. Hold managers accountable. I know we don't always have a say in that, but where you can, at least make the information about different departments and how inclusive or well represented they are, at least put the information out there and make sure that people know that that's being looked at. Make sure that diversity is a goal. And as much as we can, participate in diversity initiatives that are successful. So things like, everyone having to do diversity training. They looked at, so the document that I referenced there at the bottom, they looked at measures like that. They found those to not be very effective. But having someone in your organization that has clear responsibility and accountability for making sure that diversity is looked at and improved upon is successful. So there are ways to go about it in a positive way that can foster inclusivity. So make automation or STEM careers at minimum more socially relevant. So again, just be visible, be part of the community, participate, put yourself out there, be there on video when you can, help the world know that this is what automation looks like. They actually saw a lot of success with that, especially when you show the younger generations early on that this is what someone who's good at X is. It has a heavy influence on their later life. It has them learning that it's not just a boy thing, whatever the focus area is, in this case, automation. So make sure that you're out there visible. If there's a career day at your kid's school, go for it. Talk about it. You don't have to know everything about automation to do that. So be visible and then contribute to the greater good. If you have a charity or organization that you're a part of, offer to help. You don't have to again know everything about automation to perhaps do some things at charities. I know I've never had one turn me down when I've offered to assist, even to just talk about potential things that could be automated or process improvements. So get out there and help any way you can, and then create that sense of belonging for your organization. So look for other opportunities to help other women, to answer questions, to assist in what they're thinking about related to automation, whether that's a company sanctioned thing or what they're automating for personal use or for a charity. Put yourself out there at your children's school, talk to your kids about what you do about automation, and then just provide a helping hand and social support for other folks, ladies and men alike both, where you're out there visible and showing everybody what you can do.
Wow, Tracy, that was so refreshing and inspiring. Like, I truly love all the great points that you said. There's so many different ways that we could like bring out ourselves and make like that little, that little step towards empowering each other. That is so amazing. Thank you. Okay, next we are going to look at like, I can't get over the fact that there are so many great points that Tracy just mentioned. This is a lot of discussion that we could definitely have. And if y'all have any questions, please again, feel free to like put it on the chat. We'll be happy to like, discuss over those. And now that we know like how to enable ourselves and like, have that inclusive environment using UiPath, what are the different roles that you could get, right? So let's take a look at that. So some of the mainstream roles, like the major roles that we have using the UiPath automation software, is that you could become an automation developer or an automation developer professional. Just the difference between these two is that the first one is just a junior developer where you're focused on building your automations that are given to you by your center of excellence versus the automation developer professional. These are just based on the certification paths that are available. So the first one is just the associate certification versus the second one is the professional certification, which just tests you on like advanced level of concepts using like RE framework, using the orchestrator, and all the other different products that connect to it. So you could become a junior developer in a team where it's an established team that has a center of excellence that's already built, and you could learn from them because they can share a lot of great best practices. And being an automation developer professional, you could be the senior lead developer where you could like help assist like with the other junior developers and like help them, guide them as well. And being a solution architect is where you get to design your automations, where you build like the framework or the blueprint for what your automation needs, and you become like the bridge between the business and the technical team, where you like like map whatever the business needs are into technical requirements. So that's where like it comes really really handy. So these are like core developer experience roles, the three ones that are on the far left, and the one in the middle is a very hands-on in terms of requirements gathering. So being a business analyst, you act as a bridge to gather the requirements from the stakeholders. So being a business analyst means asking a lot of questions. So don't feel shy to ask your business like what exactly is that they want, because sometimes business tends to forget the basic steps. So which is where the business analyst comes into play, where they map all the gaps that are available in the process and they lay it down as requirements. Okay. And on the far right, like we have some specialized professional roles, which are for AI specific roles where they can build AI models or like use the AI center and build automations using that. And the next one is the automation infrastructure engineer. Basically means that instead of using like cloud tools, you could use like on-prem products that are available, like install orchestrator or like installing your own AI center, and like having a whole virtual machine set up for the robots, and how do you manage it, how do they talk to each other. So you could be that automation infrastructure engineer. So as you can see, this is like a wide variety of roles that are available. So you can feel like what suits you better and where your calling is at. So that way, like you can build a career towards that. And this is not like a set in stone type of career. So like if you are like starting as a junior developer, you're not going to stay as a junior developer forever. You could switch into like, because if you feel like, oh, you're more interested in the installation and like, the managing processes, you could become an infrastructure engineer. Or if you're a solution architect and you're interested in building like and managing AI processes, you could become a specialized AI professional. So all these roles are like definitely cross functional and really like helps out to like navigate in whichever way that you'd like. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Over to you, Tracy.
All right, thank you, Priya. So the certifications that Priya just talked out are mapped here as far as the different phases really of a project and which pieces they participate in. However, there are definitely roles that are that don't have certification exams yet. So a role like the implementation manager, generally the project manager for automation, that's not mapped out here, but certainly a viable career choice. It's something that a lot of women are really great at because of typically very good communication skills. Um, a lot of women are also highly interested in the business and analyst role again because of the communication skills and the left to be on the business side and the technical side both. If you haven't looked into the business analyst series, it's a really great certification to get and one that you can start out in if you haven't done much technical work. But all of these are viable options. Don't feel limited. You don't have to have a certain amount of experience to do any of these roles. So I won't drain the slide for you, but you can see, depending on the phases that you're most interested in, so say it's analysis of a process, then you may want to gear yourself toward being a business analyst or solution architect. If it's the support period, like deployment and hypercare, additionally, the automation developer role would be included. So take a look, but don't ever feel limited. Don't ever feel like you couldn't start pursuit of a learning path at the academy, and decide whether you're interested in it along the way, or not. So I know initially when I started out, I wanted to learn as much as I could, and I think I pretty much took every course out there over time, and learned which were the most interesting to me. But again, don't feel limited at all by your background. You can run with it with no experience doing any development at all, and still complete all of the courses if you want to. It's just a matter of how interested you are and how tenacious you are at pursuing it.
So true. Thanks, Tracy. We all started right there, like with zero experience, and like it has led it to where we are right now. Like Tracy was just mentioning, like there's not like a set in stone type of like these are the only roles that are available. The first slide where you saw was basically like all the different certifications that are available. But there are many other roles, and depending on like which organization or which functional business group or like which COE you're working with, your titles could vary. But these are like, the primary kind of like standards that we have seen across the industry. And apart from the certifications itself, there are some other roles that are pretty interesting. So, like Tracy was saying, like you don't have to necessarily tie down to like a specific developer role or just a business analyst. I know, like we all have our strong suit, and just like she just mentioned, you can pick whichever course or the career plans that you'd like to choose, and you can go along with that, because like along the way you would be finding like more other interesting products that you would like to learn. And that's where the academy comes in, and where you could learn more and more courses, which is like adding additional skill sets to yourself. So in these other roles, some of the interesting ones are the test automation. So this one is basically using the test suite of UiPath, where you would be like building like test cases, like performing like UAT with the users, or like you would primarily being like helpful with the development cycle, like along the way that as they build like more and more like like minimum viable products, you would like test it out and like make sure that that automation works as expected, along with the requirements that was provided to you by the business analyst. So this role comes into play where you would like automate all the test cases as well. Okay. And there is a product for that, which is the test suite. And the next role in terms of the technical skills is the support engineer. So, like Tracy was showing in the previous chart, there was this deployment and hypercare, which is the maintenance part of it. Because once the robot goes into production, and let's say there are like minimum changes or any kind of maintenance or upgrades that needs to happen, they would reach out to the support engineer, who would be like happy to help how the robot's supposed to function and in terms of the regular maintenance. And on the functional side, you could become a center of excellence manager or lead. So this is where you are driving the digital transformation initiatives of any organization based on what the company's missions are, and aligning to the AI trend and where like all the industry is moving towards. So the center of excellence will act as like the gatekeeper for making sure that there will be a lot of business functions coming up with like so many processes that they want to automate. So this group, the center of excellence, is the one that manages like what goes in the pipeline, like whether it's like feasible to automate or not. So this center of excellence is a group of people that just manages like whether like what processes to be automated. Because sometimes, I will tell you, I'll be honest, that like sometimes businesses can be unreasonable to say like I just want like a very like a simple process to be automated. But if you look at the return on investment, there'll be like not a lot of value. So sometimes the processes that are being picked are like pretty bad. So which is where the center of excellence will like evaluate and say like whether these processes are good enough to go into their pipeline and make sure that they are developed. Because at the end of the day, you need to get value out of it. And I will say, like, one thing that really helps out for developers, you will see the satisfaction, like when the business comes back and says, yes, this works. That is like so it's a different level of happiness that you would see, especially like at the end of UATs. I've had like, like we've had like lunch parties to celebrate just the deployment of an automation. So it's definitely like a happy space in terms of like the automation, because like you're not waiting 6 months to just deploy a project. In this automation industry, like most of our processes are pretty much like, if it's a very simple process, it gets done in like less than 4 weeks, depending on like how the change management goes. But if you have like a complex process, it might take like 3 months, depending on like what kind of AI things that you add, or like any different tools that you add. But these are like quick and simple wins, because that will definitely, like being a part of this automation team will definitely boost your confidence with each project that you build, because you will gain a lot of experience there. And the next role that is there is the citizen developer, which is more like the business folks that are SMEs in their process, but they would like to automate their own task. So these are like people that are not doing automation as their primary day job. They have their own skills, which could be accounting, HR, whatever skills that they are doing. On top of that, they would like to just have like some productivity task going on. So that will be done using the citizen developers. And on the technical side, again, there's the UiPath administrator who could have like, orchestrator installed, or like, similar to like the robot manager, or like in terms of the access, because like the cloud portal can be available to everybody in your organization. So you can manage and access who gets what licenses and who gets what access. Because at the end of the day, each department has the segregation of duties, because they need to be aware of like all the different compliance, that they are not like, overriding each other. And the last part is the trainer and instructor, which myself and Tracy have played as well in the consulting world as well. Because like as we learn about these products, we also want to share this, because every time we go to a new client, we want to share like, oh, this is like new in UiPath, and this is where you need to be, so that we help businesses stay in alignment with what the current trends are.
And I would add, Priya, that your organization may not have automation at all. If they don't, you don't have to have a named role. You don't have to have automation in your title. You can become the automation subject matter expert just by choosing to go out and learn, or starting to automate some of the processes that you do. Kind of spreads the word. So there's a real opportunity if there's not a program there, and can often end up creating a department or an opportunity for you in the future, for sure. And then say your company does have a significant automation program, and you don't know how to really fit into that group if you're just starting out. If you don't see a way to become a citizen developer or join that group, absolutely learn a bit and volunteer your time. Many charities would be very glad to have you help automate anything, or start to automate some personal things. I know I automated some notifications for my kids' grades early on, just because it was a passion project for me. But that's the best way to learn. So you'll get experience in automation, with or without the support of your company, either way. But don't let the current circumstance of your org stop you from moving forward.
So, right. So speaking of these, like I'll also like to quickly show them like what Tracy was just explaining in terms of just the certifications as well. So I'm just on the certification portal here. So as you can see, like for each of those different roles, you could get certified. So even if you're a newbie, just starting out, like your first step into the automation, you could get certified as an automation developer associate, which will really like help you build your own automations. And these are like complex automations that provide like a lot of business value into like developing like complex solutions. So this could be like a role where you are working with a team and like building your automations along with a solution architect, and like, let's say a business analyst is also there, and there's an implementation manager. So this really like helps you build out that skill. So this would be like your first step if you're interested in the developer career path. And this is the advanced certification, which is called the developer professional. So this basically is kind of similar. It just like adds on like with a little bit of like other products and complexity as well. This basically means that you can lead your own like production level automations. And As you can see, like there's the business analyst professional, like where Tracy was mentioning that as women, we all have like our own strong suite where we can be like very good at like communicating and, you know, like mapping that business knowledge into like technical skills, which is like really key when it comes to business analysis. So this really, yeah. Sorry, someone had a question? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I guess someone went on mute. Never mind. So with the business analyst, like you could help like a lot in the process discovery and the analysis and implementing like what automation goes into the solutions. And this again like helps a lot in building an organization's pipeline itself. So if you're interested, again, like you can just like click on this and oh, it pulled up in a new window. Never mind. So it's going to show you like what are the courses. I'm just going to like take you down like in Academy. Again, there are different learning plans. I just clicked on the business analyst. I hope y'all can still see my screen. Okay. All right, so as you can see, this one gives you an idea of like what you're gonna learn. So you're gonna learn the basics of like what an automation does and what are the business platforms that you need to know and what are the fundamentals that you need to learn in terms of methodology. And then it gets into the fundamentals of the business analysis as well. And then there's a deep dive where you can like take a look at like all the different products. So that way you know like what your business needs. Because like I said, there's a wide variety of products that you can choose from. Just because the product is available doesn't mean that you have to use it, which is where like you have to check like what is the need of the business and tie it to the product that is needed. Okay. So there's a deep dive into all the different areas of an automation so that the business analyst can step into areas as well. And I'll quickly show you here. There's the career paths that we talked about. And oh, never mind. I guess I wanted to show you this one. So here's a quick view on like if you had like an automation developer, this is just an average of like what the overall like, you know, the salary around is. And this is not like a stagnant, this is not a range. So this is just an overall average. So this may not be the realistic number because like I said, the industry keeps evolving more and more. So these numbers could vary depending on the time and the location that you're at. And again, if you build those skills, this is probably the bare minimum that you might get. You could make more than this. Okay. So don't just come here for the numbers. I would say like the skills are way more important. And like I said, it should give you that satisfaction. The job satisfaction by itself is so important in our day-to-day jobs because you're going to be spending like 80% of your awake time doing this job. So like pick this career because it makes you happy, because I'm sure like the moment you build your first automation, you're going to feel happy, and that's what is going to drive you to build your career here. So as you can see, there are different roles and these are the different averages that are available. So I'm going to move it over to Tracy here in just a second. Oops. Sorry. Just going to hit. Sorry, it's taking me all the way from beginning. Sorry, Tracy, over to you.
Problem. All right, so why even do you want to be an automation professional? Well, first, the demand is high. There are less folks available to do automation than there is demand. So I know it can be difficult to find resources. We often get questions from recruiters about that. And I know my LinkedIn, I practically every day there's some type of request for a role or some kind of message about interest in a role. So even if you're not pursuing automation full-time, just having that out there in LinkedIn, you'll start to get more people looking at you. It's just, you know, it's a hot area and has been for the last few years. I know Gartner, the last set of data that I looked at, it's been the largest growing subsegment of enterprise software since, I want to say it's like 2018, 2019,
Yeah.
from what I've seen. So there's plenty of work there. And if there's not, the idea of improving processes at your workplace, that will never go away. Companies are always looking to do things better and to take some of the workload off of people. So there will be work many, many, many years to come. So problem solving, really any technical work, any development work, whether you're on the analysis side or actually implementing, it's very gratifying to figure out something, especially when you're actually giving time back to people. I like to ask people like who's really looking forward to logging in today and doing their timesheet and expense reports. Not a whole lot. You don't get people that go to college just to fill out an expense report. It's not a highlight of your day. You don't jump for joy when it's time to go fill out a timesheet in detail. So not only are you, automating something and solving a problem, but you're actually giving people time to devote to things that they want to do, to what they went to school for, took that role on for. So that's very gratifying. So the innovation factor, I mean, there's so much to the platform these days. I know I can't keep up with every single area. So there's lots of ways to learn new things. There's the academy courses are very well done. So it's not difficult for the areas that you want to specialize in to keep up with the latest and greatest. And if you don't have a particular need at your workplace for something, there's always a personal or charity thing that you can come up with. So it feels good to be able to contribute. And I would consider automation really to be the easy button to AI. AI without coupling it with automation to try to implement that can sometimes be pretty difficult. I know I've seen the stats on the percentage of projects that make it to production were less than 20% without automation being involved. So UiPath especially makes it really easy to plug in. They've done a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to AI. It makes it a whole lot easier for me to be able to implement things that involve that without me having to do extensive coursework or become a data scientist. So I love the idea of having this whole world of AI possibilities open to me that are easy mechanism to get to those. So impactful work, we talked before, you're able to really morph your role into more of a process improvement automation type role as an element of what you do, even if it's just automating that report that you might send each week or need to go out and retrieve each week. Just giving yourself time back to focus on things that matter more in your role. And then you have that ability to do so for charity and other groups as well. So it feels really good not only to potentially impact other folks in your workplace, but to be able to give time back to other organizations that mean something to you. And then global reach. I mean, really, there are no borders anymore online. I mean, you're not limited. You can impact whoever you want to. So I know we have people likely from all over the world on this call as it is now. You're not limited anymore other than by yourself. So you pursue the areas that interest you as far as you want to. All of the resources are there for you. And there's a really significant community here to back you up that is very much plugged in. I know I use the Slack channels myself and still use them now, but I know there was never a question where I feel like I hit the wall and didn't have some type of resource to get past it. So very gratifying.
Yeah, that's awesome, Tracy. Yeah, one thing that I'd like to add there is, starting a career in automation. Like I started off as a developer, played like all these infrastructure roles, like implementation, and then grew into a solution architect. But that career path was like pretty quick compared to like my regular software development, software engineering background, because there, like to get to a software solution architect, it's going to take like many more years because like the products are varied and the software design is varied. And also building my knowledge on AI was also very easy and faster, because this is not like a closed secret that is kept anymore, because like every resource and every course is like openly available. And like Tracy was saying, like anybody who has that knowledge is willing to help. And it also helped me in my career, especially in my journey, was I was able to like collaborate and talk to different teams, be it the database team or the infrastructure team, or be it even the C-suite leaders. Everybody was like pretty open to have an open talk and communication about the automation or where their strategies are. So there was like no stopping when it comes to your role. Because like in my previous job, like not that it was bad, but my role stopped as a developer or like as a technical analyst, where I can't like go directly to a director and talk about like, hey, what about this project? That wasn't possible. You cannot do business process improvements directly. But here in automation, you have that possibility or the potential to look at the overall business process, not just your the core automation, but it gives you that area to communicate, to be able to that room for you to go and share your thoughts and ideas. So this becomes like an open space where you can freely share whether like it's viable to improve that process or not. And again, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? So and this becomes an area where you don't have those barriers in terms of like your roles or the tags that they have. Obviously, me and Tracy have been like talking to all the different C-suite leaders for any consulting job that we go. Like, you just can easily share what your process is and what your thought process and ideology towards automation is without any kind of holdbacks. So that to me was like very key and empowering in terms of growing my own knowledge as well.
Yeah. And automation is still really, really new. You're still very much in the early stages of things and AI. So it's fairly easy to become, as long as you commit the time to learning, it's fairly easy to jump on the bandwagon. There are still many companies that have not done any automation at all or don't know where to begin with AI. So it's a space that really needs your help. And you can jump on board with Academy at your own pace and go as quickly or slowly as you'd like.
Awesome. So we have some chat going on, and there are some great experiences that are being shared from Nina. And in terms of there's a question about the cost, and thanks Tracy for handling that. So is there any cost to the certification? Like Tracy said, there's definitely, these are proctored by Pearson View. So like going into any Pearson View exam, just like, even if you take Microsoft or AWS, this is similar to that. So you're taking a certification that is like widely acknowledged, and these are credentials that you could put on your LinkedIn or like your own official page where you have, and these credentials are highly valued. So which is why like you may have to like like take care of the cost. And there's always like vouchers being given, so you could take part in a challenge, or like you could take part in a seasonal discount that I have seen happening, where like developers get like if you discount. And there's also like a 50% discount if you're going to renew your certification. So if you already have any kind of certification, for you to renew the future ones, you could get like a discount as well. So don't think of these as like like, oh, you have to pay for the certification. Think of it as investment for yourself, because these are credentials not just tied to your company or your job, but this is tied to you, because this is the knowledge that you're going to carry, and you can take it to any organization or anywhere that you want.
And I know some organizations that definitely, once they see the certification, the limited experience or lack of experience in an office setting means a whole lot less. Having that certification to back you up is very meaningful.
Yeah. And thanks, Mallory, for sharing this. So Mallory says she's been involved in like citizen development and been learning and growing more skills in the last 2 years than in the last 10 years in administration. And now I have a wide network spanning across North America, which is so true, because even in my case, like I had like a similar experience prior to coming to RPA. Um, I was very closed, focused on my job and like what to do, rather than like, having an open forum. So I'll just show you like a quick thought here. So these are the UiPath resources. As you can see, the Academy is free and open to learn. So there's no cost associated to learning. It's only when you go to the certification part. So, which is not bad because like you get to learn all these resources, like all this knowledge on any of the products for free using the academy. And there's a lot of different career paths and the learning plans available. And again, you can pick and choose whichever course that you want to take. So there's no limitation to that. You're your own limitation. So like if you want to learn like business analyst or like a developer or an advanced professional, you can do it. And if you hit a wall, like you're like, practicing and you don't know where to start or like how to do this process, you can just come to the forum and like ask for help. And there's over like 90,000 members that are available that's across the globe. So it's not like, okay, somebody has to answer in your time zone. There's always somebody there. And probably your problem was already posted and someone already resolved it. And back in 2017, we barely had like 90 members, and now in this like last 5 years it has exponentially grown. So as you can see, this is a growing industry, so there's more and more people coming in, and there is no like secret knowledge. Everybody, like whatever knowledge that they have, they would love to share, because that's the only way that we all can learn and grow together. Because if I try to keep my knowledge to myself, there's no growth in it. All right. And again, like you guys are here, so I'm pretty sure you're aware of the community space where there are more virtual events. So you can take part in the local meetups. So whichever location that you're at, you can always like take a look at like what your chapters are doing, if they are meeting in person, or if they are doing any virtual events like what we're doing right now. You can take part in any of the global events. So there's nothing to stop you. And there's the marketplace where you can download like reusable components or starter packs, or like even identify any third party software that you want, like that you'd like to connect. So all that is available in the marketplace for you to start. And there's a question here. Okay, what if we didn't pass in the first attempt? That for each attempt that we do have to pay? Tracy, do you know if we have to pay for the second attempt?
Yeah,
I
I
believe you
answered
typically-
that question
Yeah.
in chat.
Oh,
Yeah. It basically, if you did not pass your first certification and want to reach out to me, I put my email in the chat there. I can let you know if there's any discounts or if there's a way to get you a retake.
awesome. Yeah, and what's your advice you would give to a junior developer if they wanted to go into solution architecture? Great. So, like Tracy says, an architect is merely a junior developer that continued in learning and automated over time. So that is so true, because like I started as a junior developer as well, because I didn't become a solution architect on day one. So starting as a junior developer, and fairly like the product by itself was also in its infancy stage. So I grew with the product, learning that knowledge and building more and more process. So I would say like practice, keep on practicing, be it like your own personal automation or within your project, or like be it like productivity task. Any of those will really like help you build that skill. So keep on learning and keep on automating. That's what is going to like help you build that mindset into like having that lateral thinking into like how to design solutions. So solution architecture is nothing but like connecting all the different pieces, because your business process can have like multiple different pieces to it. All you have to do is like create like how are these going to be like cohesive with each other. It needs to be like a flawless, like just like an easy flow of a solution. So that's what solution architecture is about. So it's not rocket science. You can get there for sure.
Yep, and there was a question about whether there was any required experience level for any of the certifications. You'll often see suggestions of this many months or this much time historically, but those are just suggestions. Don't ever feel like you can't still pursue an exam if you focus on training and get through all of the coursework in a short period of time. I would still run with it. I wouldn't feel held back by any of that. So there is nothing where you have to prove that you've been doing automation or any particular type of role for any length of time. So they're all open to do as quickly as you want to pursue them.
Awesome. So there's this question that says, what's the best piece of advice you have received in your career so far? So I would share like the very first job that I took as a software developer way back, like more than like 12 years now. So the very first advice that I got was from my project manager. I got to work with him closely, and he told me this: Priya, never be afraid to ask questions. Because coming out of college, taking my first job, I was so curious. There's so many technology. And back in that time, entity framework, MVC was like the web development was like picking up. And I was like, okay, what are these buzzwords people are asking about? So the curiosity is what like helped me out. So hold on to your curiosity always, because that's what will help you learn, because the curiosity drives you to learn new things and try out new things, and don't be afraid, and never ever be afraid to ask a question. Even like even today, even being an MVP, like this is a title that comes with responsibility, but doesn't mean that I know everything, because I'm still in a learning journey myself. I'm trying to learn like everything as much as I can, because this knowledge is wide as an ocean. You cannot learn everything, so try to pick a niche and always ask questions, because even today I go and ask very basic silly questions, and people really like help out and answer. So if one thing that I learned is to like keep asking questions.
So Priya, this is Diana. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So if somebody is starting out new in their career, they've been out of the workforce for a while. I get this question all the time. They've been out of the workforce. They're kind of nervous about, having a career. They really want a career. They're very talented. What would your advice be regarding UiPath on how to get started? What the training is like, how easy is it to take, and also how the community can help them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Diana. So, like over the years of consulting, I've had like a couple of women who came back from the maternity leave, and they were like coming back after like, let's say, like 7 to 10 years of gap. And I've worked with a lot of them, helping them upskill themselves. Because, like, when they come back to the industry has changed so much. In general, the IT industry, because there's so many different technologies, so many different certifications available. So, which is where I feel like UiPath is an easy way to get your career built, because this is a great place to have your developer skills built out. So I've seen a lot of people just take it was called the foundations course back then. And I think now it's called the automation starter or the automation explorer. And those are like very basic courses that you can start taking and get a feel for like what RPA is about and what automation could do. And try to go through the developer basic foundation, because like there are different career paths. I would say like take the career path for developer and see if it's your cup of tea, because like some people may not like to continue coding and some others might like to be a business analyst. So depending on what your interests are, again, this becomes like an individual preference on what you want to do. So like at least get the basics using the automation starter or the automation explorer, because that's going to give you a feel of like what the UiPath lay of the land is. And from there on, you can pick and choose which career path you want to go through. And that will really, really help, because like I can vouch that like I have seen like so many women that came back from this type of like career breaks and even 15 years of break, and I have like really helped out. Like, so me and Tracy, like will be happy to help you. So we'll give you our these are our basic resources. Use the academy and the forum and definitely the community, and we all are a part of this community, and we are out there putting ourselves out there to help you guys, help anybody, because like we don't want you to go through the same struggle of like not knowing or being afraid of asking questions. Like this is an open communication area where like you can share every problem or every challenge that you face with the automation, and that's going to be like really, really helpful, because now that you have the support, you can easily like build your knowledge on. Does
And I would add for sure on the development side, if you're new to any type of development or technical work, it is totally normal to have problems and to try something and hit the wall, can't figure it out. and this is whether it's automation, or I remember a class I took in college that was full at the beginning, and there was maybe 10% of the people at the end of the semester. That intro class for introductory programming is like that every time because it's different. So all of you can figure it out. It's just whether or not you're willing to go give it a try again tomorrow. So that's why I mentioned tenacity before. All of us have all kinds of problems. We still have questions and ask each other things all the time on a regular basis. So just be willing to go back tomorrow. You don't have to have all the answers every day. That's normal. That's why, you know, any type of technical role, especially development, why those are lucrative careers, is just because you're committed to solving the problem and willing to go back and keep on at it until it's figured out. So don't be worried if you start the development series and can't figure something out. That's what your resources are there for. So there's no reason that you can't continue to pursue that if you're interested in doing so. And I know as far as the background and taking time off of work, I myself took 7 years off of work. Certifications are a great way, if you don't have recent experience, to show that you do have a recent skill set that's certified, that others have verified as well. So I consider that to be a really great option whenever you have the time to pursue that as an alternative to having recent experience.
And here's a couple of questions that have come in. Is there a programming language you find most relevant to learn?
So I would say like start off with VB.NET because like most of our basic workflows are with VB, and you can also use C Sharp. But if you're like aiming a career towards like, a solution architect, I would say like go have your foundations using the object-oriented programming, because that kind of builds your brain to think in lines of like solutionizing things, because that really like helps to solutionize like any problem that's being presented to you. So in terms of programming language, just to be a developer, like using the tools, and there are like no code tools that are also available, like let's say like apps, it's just building using the UI, and you would still need to know like UI UX, and that's using the CSS. So again, like it depends on like which area you want to go. And if you're into like just building automations and like AI for AI, you could learn like Python as well, where you could build your own custom models, or even like, you could use the out of the box models. But if you're a data scientist and wants to have your own custom models, you're free to do that using Python. And in terms of regular automation, I think these should cover it up. Tracy, would you like to add?
No, I would agree. I would start with VB.NET, and then Python is a good addition. PowerShell, there's some ability to do some automation of things, and PowerShell, sometimes you can take care of things that way and don't necessarily need it to complete a full automation. So ChatGPT is also really good at PowerShell. So you don't have to, get extensively into every single, memorize all of the things. Understanding the just general programming concepts, if you can find any type of foundational course on that, things like loops and conditional statements and that type of thing, is a solid place to start, because so many of the AI tools these days will assist with the language details and syntax. Just understanding those concepts would be monumentally helpful.
And Tracy, I'd like to post this question over to you as well. What's the best career advice that you have received in your career so far?
So I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown, and although she did not give me the advice directly, just reading her books generally, putting yourself out there, listen to those that actually put themselves in the arena and ignore criticism from people who don't. So to me, that was important. She also has some great books on being resilient and coming back after what you might perceive as a issue prior, how you kind of pull yourself up and carry on. But yeah, generally to ignore the criticism from people who haven't put themselves out there and been vulnerable themselves.
That
So,
is so
Priya,
true. Dense. Yeah.
yeah, this is Diana again. So I heard something the other day. I actually attended a woman in automation session. I thought this was really interesting, and you both touched on it today. But they said the advice that they learned was called PI, which is perform, image, and exposure. And I thought that was really important just to get started, perform, and then build your image. Like, you know, put yourself on LinkedIn, put yourself on what you've learned, go to the UiPath forum, get involved, network. And then exposure just means, you know, identify what you kind of want to do in your career, and then let people in your company know, let your manager know, let your, you know, your network know, and they'll help build you up.
That is so nice. Yeah, I think coming from my personal experience, I would add that, whenever there's always going to be people that are going to be cheering for you, be it your own friends and family, but there's also going to be people that are going to try to pull down and say, like, no, you can't do that. So if they say that, like what Tracy was saying, that's your moment to ignore and focus on your goals, because this is your chance to like shine, because this is a great opportunity for you to build your own career. Like apart from you being a daughter, a mother, a student, whatever, this is you building your knowledge. So this by itself is going to definitely like have that level of exposure, and this community is definitely very supportive in terms of like bringing out new knowledge and like sharing. Again, like even though we are all like experienced and experts in this field, we still try to learn every day. So, and we try to support each other, because like whether I know everything or not, I still rely on Tracy and Diana and say like, hey, can you help me out here? And they are always there, and if they cannot, they will still pass me to the resource that who can help me out.
Yep, agreed. Don't be limited by any circumstance. You don't have to have support from your company. You don't have to have support from anyone else. I know a lot of women experience imposter syndrome. There's no reason for that to happen in this world, because the resources are here for you. You can learn on your own. You can reach out to other members of the community whenever you have issues. But there's no imposters here. You can automate your own things, and at least give yourself back time. But it's really about plugging in the way that you want to. And I agree with what Priya said earlier, that automation touches, I mean, there's no department that doesn't have potential for process improvement and automation. So it does allow you a great degree of visibility across your org. Make sure you put yourself out there. Make sure that people know that you're interested in pursuing automation, or are pursuing automation for yourselves. It becomes inspirational to other groups when they see what you've done.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to us, myself and Tracy and Diana. We'll definitely be like happy to be in touch with you. And if you need like guidance anywhere, be it technical or career, like we are happy to help and like, help you in whichever way that's possible by us.
Well, I just want to thank you, Tracy and Priya, for an inspirational session. It was amazing, the things you touched on today, and I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining. I think these sessions help build all of us up, no matter where you are in your career.
Thanks for having us and giving us the opportunity.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing from everybody.
Any additional questions? And you can feel free to take yourself off mute if you'd like. With that, I think we'll wrap it up, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thanks, Diana and Tracy, for this opportunity.
You're welcome.